my goal is when you unwrap a gift, I want it to feel like an experience. You know, I always have a candle, or I have orange slices, like the dehydrated citrus. Psychologists actually call that a sensory anchor. When you have something that stimulates one or all of your senses, it creates a memory. It warms your heart, it looks good, it smells good. So it's just beyond creating gifts for an occasion. It really is about the bond for me and the relationship that it nurtures. My name is Andrea, and I'm the owner and founder of Panier Cadeau, a modern luxury gifting company that specializes in gift baskets and boxes for busy individuals and professionals.
It is a pleasure to have you on, hear your
Thank
story.
you.
You didn't want me to show it on camera, but you do incredible work because you didn't want it to look like it was you were selling something to me or
Yeah.
but you do great work. It's
Thank you so
incredible.
much.
So if people aren't familiar with you and your business and your brand, definitely go check it out because it is incredibly well curated. It is incredibly well designed, and it's beautiful. Just
Thank
it's
you so
very,
much.
very beautiful. So I
Thank
want
you.
to start off with that compliment. So
Thank you.
tell me a little bit about the brand. Tell me a little bit about who you are in the brand and how you started and what the brand means, what the words mean, because it's French words.
Yeah.
So explain that to me.
Okay, so Panier Cadeau is French for gift basket. And I guess I have to start a little bit about my history, where I'm from. I was born and raised in Guyana. I don't know if you know where Guyana is, but it's South America, and it's the only English-speaking country in South America. So I grew up there. When I was 3 years old, my mom remarried a Frenchman. So my late stepdad was French, and the name of my business was really a nod to him, and just to honor the relationship we had. So Guyana is primarily Caribbean culture, and it's a third world country, so there's economic hardships. But I feel like the root of Guyanese people, like at the heart, is community. Community is very important. So I grew up with those values. And I moved here at 22 when I got married. So my husband proposed, and then, we had to make a decision. Is he going to move back to Guyana? Am I going to move here? It made more sense because he had already had a job. And I moved here and had my son a year after we got married. So started the family life, and by design, he worked and I was home with my son. 8 years later, I had my daughter. Hadn't really worked, don't have a business background. I worked for almost 4 years at a dental office, which was fine. I met some of my closest friends there. But I feel like I've always had a creative nature. I love not just gifting, but design, like a well put together home. And I, I guess you could say at the heart of my Guyanese heritage is this, I guess you can say, compulsion to share. And like I said, like community is very big to us. So 3 years ago on Mother's Day, I gifted my sister-in-law a gift, and she said, "You should sell these." It's not something I had considered. I'd never considered starting a business, but I think years prior, I had started this deep dive into self-help and just personal development. I guess I'd reached a stage in life where I was fulfilled raising the kids and just being a wife and mom, but maybe there was this underlying desire to do more, to contribute more. So when she said that, it was a catalyst for what's now Panier Cadeau, because I think it was a point in time where passion and purpose just aligned. And I felt, oh, I could do this. And her idea was, oh, why don't you just like make 10 of them, put them on Instagram, like people will like them and buy them. And I kind of went and registered a whole company, like you go all in.
Mhm.
So I So that's what, but I would say the first 2 years I wasn't as invested. I was still kind of navigating motherhood and just being, I guess maybe not like having the confidence enough to really be visible and put the business out there. So it's probably a year now that I've been really just committed and promoting it. I have a business coach, so that really helps a lot because I wear every hat in my business. I do my own photography. I design the gifts, I do all the marketing, everything, because that's just the stage. This is the foundation. This is where I'm starting out. And it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it because then I get to learn as we scale. I know every aspect and I know the standard that I want to uphold. So that's how it started.
Yeah, it's incredible. A really great story. Thank you for
Thank,
sharing that.
thanks.
A couple of things I want to touch on based on your story and based on how you introduced yourself. One thing that really stuck out to me is when you introduced the fact that you were from Guyana and the Guyanese people. You said that it's a third world country, but community is at the front of it,
Hmm.
or as an incredible cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I just found that really interesting because it was an interesting segue of like the hardship, but also community. And I was just curious on your perspective on this. And like, I think that human nature, we want to shy away from hardship.
Hmm.
We want to shy away from, we want, ease of life. It's, I think, a survival instinct. But the reality is that hardship is inevitable in life.
Yeah.
And that being said, is I think that some of the most beautiful things come out of hardship.
Hmm.
And community being one of them is if culture as a whole might be struggling within a third world country,
Yeah.
the culture as a whole can become that much beautiful and
Hmm.
their the what do you say the giving culture. I'm using
Yeah.
culture a lot here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and
It's a
it's
unity
yeah,
that, yeah.
exactly. Whereas if somebody made that, for example, like in a first world country, not everybody's struggling, but then that creates a bit more, I guess, disunity because
Hmm.
why would I need? I don't need this person,
Hmm.
and it creates a not I don't want to use the word toxic, but like it creates a independent culture,
There's
which
a
is
little
very
bit of toxicity in
sure,
there
absolutely.
as well. Yes. So I think when you're raised in a third world country, there's a sense of resourcefulness that you develop,
Mhm.
right? Like things are not that easy to come by. And Guyana actually went through 28 years of a dictatorship. Like we gained independence from England in 1966, and then we became an independent nation. But there was political hardships, economic hardships, and I feel like that's not unique to Guyana. That's most third world countries. So the sense of community was very important because you shared what you had. And like I said, you learn to be resourceful. And, kids didn't have toys. And I feel like there's also something really special because as much as you struggle and there's lack, there there's also a sense of happiness with just being content with what you do have or what you did have. So I'm actually very proud of my Guyanese heritage and our history. And interestingly, we are actually Guyana is one of the has one of the fastest growing economies in the world right now
Well,
because 10 years ago they discovered oil, a lot of oil. And so that's really a very cool turn of events for, such a small nation.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit, continuing along with your story. You mentioned you met your husband, but if I'm understanding correctly, he was a U.S. citizen and you were in Guyana,
Yeah.
and then you decided to move here, because I didn't totally understand that part of
So
the story.
he's Guyanese as well.
Okay,
He moved to the US when he was about 7, 8. And, I was growing up in Guyana. He was growing up here. But his parents started a business and moved back to
I
Guyana.
see.
So we went to the same high school, did not know each other in high school. He jokes that I was too cool. Um, But yes, so my sister dated his best friend, and then the rest is history. We got connected, and he, I was at university when we met, and he moved back to start college, and I joke and I say I have a half a degree
Mhm.
because he proposed just as I was starting my junior year, and I was actually studying business management, so somewhat of a little business
There you go.
knowledge. But yes, so he proposed, and the idea was that I would just finish my degree here, and I had my son. So I put that on hold.
Well, you have more of a college degree than I do, so I
Yeah.
have a quarter of a degree.
Yeah, I did graduate at university in Guyana with, I guess, what's the equivalent of an associate's here.
I see.
And then I started my bachelor's.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the gift baskets.
Hmm.
What was your intent behind them? First of all, I relate very much and love the story of you said your sister or sister-in-law that
Sister-in-law, my husband's sister.
that
Yeah.
pushed you kind of into the,
Yeah.
hey, you should do this. And it's, I find so often in these conversations and also in my own life that it's really the push of other people that like really, it's like, okay, maybe this is
Hmm.
something I need to do. But that being said, you took her original idea was just make 10 of them and put
Hmm.
them online. You like, no, I'm going to go full on into this stuff,
Yeah.
which I admire. I think that's really cool. But now, what is the business model now? Talk to me about that.
So just to touch a little on her saying, encouraging me to start selling them, that actually is the biggest compliment. And that's at the
Mm,
root of even like that's our goal, right? That connection. And just even for the recipient to feel that this gift was so special
mm,
and for her to say, you should sell these. And I don't think I really considered it back then, but as my business grew and I thought like that's really my origin story,
yeah,
the company's origin story.
yeah.
So the business model really is I started off doing custom gifts. That was initially, friends and family, like I said, they caught wind of what I was doing and they'd place an order. And then I decided that I felt it was beneficial to start a website. Really hadn't thought about what that entailed. I just thought it would be really nice to have ready to ship gifts. I ship nationwide on the website. So people would actually, outside of my Instagram page, my social media, people would be able to have a place to see what I create, what it looks like, pricing. And so I started a website. There's just a few on there because, like I said, I manage everything, including the website. So the gifts are really intentional, really thoughtful. So requires a lot. And when I first started, a friend of mine introduced me to Babes in Business. So I started, I think I was 6 weeks in, and I went to my first Babes in Business event. And from Babes in Business, I've met my coach. I've worked with Jen Fasano. I have met my web designer.
Wow.
It's just really like a lot of my clients have come out of it. So that community really,
Yeah.
I do hold Babes in Business near and dear to my heart because coming from a different country, I didn't grow up here. I didn't go to school here. I really hadn't worked. Like I told you, you don't have the opportunity to build your own community.
Mm.
Like I didn't have college friends that I can call on. I didn't have colleagues that I worked with. So Babes in Business and that community became sort of, that
I
that
think that we're in a bit of a therapy session reversed at the moment because
yeah,
it's interesting. You asked me before we started filming why I like doing this and
yeah,
why I like talking to people, like how I got into this. And I had an answer, which was essentially that like I like talking, I like asking questions, I love learning about business. I've always loved business, and I think that I get to tie those two together, ask questions, learn about people, and tie in business. But kind of what you're saying kind of hit a nerve in me in a good way, where you were like, you came from a different country, you didn't know many people, you didn't have your own community. My situation and my story is a little different. I grew up in this area, but I dropped out of college very like at my first year of college. And that being said, is started my business that first year,
mm-hmm,
and all the people my age were in school, so
yeah,
I didn't have any friends.
yeah,
And I also, that being said, I work by myself almost always. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I have my YouTube channel, when I do the farm stuff, when I do this, it's really all by myself. I
Mm-hmm.
have editors and stuff, but my editors are overseas, so I don't get to see them in person.
You're right.
And I wonder if part of the reason I'm just having a little therapy session, if part of the reason I love doing these conversations is it's essentially quote unquote building my community, and these are my
Yeah.
coworkers, and I get to have conversations that
Yeah.
other people get to have in their workspace that I don't get to have. And I don't know, I just found that
Yeah.
really interesting, and it kind of
No.
really struck a chord when you said that because I was like, oh wow, that's
Yeah.
really insightful. Maybe that's why I like talking to people.
I think so. I think a lot of solo entrepreneurs say it's
Yeah,
isolating. Like I'm sure
no
you hear
question.
that a lot.
Yeah.
And
I think
and
being a business owner, even if you have 50 employees, is isolating because those 49 employees
mhm,
don't understand what it means to actually run the business.
yeah,
So even that itself is isolating. And then if you're a solo
yeah,
entrepreneur, even more so.
yeah. So it's interesting that you said therapy session because I'm actually fascinated by psychology and human behavior, which is a large part of my business and how it operates. So gifting for me is not just putting items in a box. I mean, that's fun. But it really is just very intentional, very thoughtful. My color palette, I lean towards neutrals. I feel like neutrals are very elevated and calming. And I mean, colors are fun, and there's like a place for that. Like, I know a lot of gifting companies that lean into that, and they're beautiful. I just felt like that wasn't where I wanted to take my business. My personality has a big influence on the gifts I create. So I was saying I dove into personal development just prior to starting my business. I listened to, at this point, thousands of podcasts, interviews. I've read the self-help books, the cliche. I've even been to Tony Robbins. So um, I went all in, and it was just me learning what my personality was, learning what my passions were like I feel like I knew that, like I said, I've always liked aesthetic, architecture, interior design, but I wanted to know what I could do with that,
Hmm.
like how I can still show up for my family, be
Mm,
present for my children, and still do something I was passionate about.
yeah.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people talk about work-life balance. For me, it's more work-life integration.
Mm.
My husband and my kids listen to what I do, whether they want to or not, all the time. Like if I have an idea, I'll stop them in the middle of dinner, like, you know what I was thinking about? And they're great. Like they're so supportive. And the kids love seeing me work and hearing about the business. So because there was a point where I was embracing minimalism. Like
Mm.
I just really had started to think about the way the world was and overconsumption. And I was like, but can I really be a person with like two forks and a plate?
Ah,
Like I feel like minimalism can mean something different for everyone, And so then I reached a point where I felt a little hypocritical that I was now going to be selling people things.
mm,
And then I was also thinking about the overconsumption. So the only thing that made sense for me is that the gifts that I create, that they be useful. They be of a certain standard and quality. I feel like that's respectful to the recipient. And that's really why I focus so much on where I source my products. And when someone orders a custom gift, I if they don't know anything about the recipient, let's just say it's a business transaction, I will actually sit and think about what this type of person, let's just say it's a real estate client. Okay, well, it's exciting. They're buying their first home. I'll know that much. And I'll think about like what that feels like for someone. What would be useful? What would be something that would be memorable? So I really go heavy on the psychology of gifting. So, I mean, gifting, the history of gifting, when you think about it, dates back to biblical times. You know, uh, baby Jesus got gifts,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
every
Yeah.
gift had a meaning.
Wow, yeah.
So,
Mm,
you know,
that's really
yeah,
deep, actually.
yeah.
I think
So,
that, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, it's-
that's so interesting that so often gifts are nice, but like even my family at this point has gotten to this point of like, we're like for Christmas, hypothetically, right? And now what you do is totally different, but
yeah,
like we're like, well, what do we don't need any more of this junk,
hmm,
right? And we've shifted a little bit more to experiential
yeah,
things of like, okay, well, why don't we all go out to dinner, or why don't we spend all pool our money and go on a vacation or something like
hmm.
that?
We
Let's
do that too.
at this point. But
Yeah,
what you said is just really interesting. Of like, even when the three kings came to Jesus, they were intentional gifts. They all had meaning behind them, and
exactly. Yeah.
that is a really, really, really interesting insight. And just to think
Hmm,
on the psychology of giving
hmm.
today, of when we give something, what's the intention behind it?
Yeah. Even in ancient Egypt, they gifted rare perfumes
Yeah,
and jewelry, and those were status symbols.
yeah,
So really is now gifting has become modern, but I think that those values still hold true, that the intention behind a gift. And I I do like experiential gifts.
mm,
We do that also. And and I'll be honest, I own a gifting company and I love what I do, but I don't think that I was necessarily always the best gifter.
mm,
And this is why I enjoy it, because sometimes you're so busy and you pick up a gift card and really it's not a lot of thought put into it. And I'm guilty of that as well. So I'm here to take that off your plate, so you give a thoughtful gift. And I think a lot of my clients thank me for the gift. And I feel like the clients are the ones, with the intention. They're the ones with the idea that they
yeah.
wanted to give a gift. I'm just honored to be a part of that
Interaction.
interaction. Exactly.
I want to piggyback really briefly on what you said about this struggle between the overconsumption of the world and something that you don't want to be a part of,
Yeah.
but also you own a gifting company. And I relate to that tremendously because I had that same exact struggle on a slightly different note of like, I have a bit of a problem with the consumption of social media and how people are glued to their phones and the way it affects
Mm-hmm.
children's psychology and human psychology, like
Mm-hmm.
not even children, but like adult psychology and the way that, women and men and how they interact in comparison.
Yeah.
And here I own a media company.
Yeah.
And this is I actually really struggled. I don't know if you ever saw the Social Dilemma on Netflix, and that came out
Yeah.
at the peak of my YouTube career. And I'm like,
Yeah.
am I a
And that
drug
could be
dealer?
daunting,
Yeah, I
right?
was like,
Yeah.
am I just a drug dealer where every
Yeah.
day people come, because people were coming back every day to
Yeah.
my videos. I'm like, am I just supplying them what they need, and then they get their hit, and then they go
The
come back tomorrow?
dopamine. Yeah.
And I had to reconcile with it very similarly. And the way I reconciled is that there's so much stuff out there already, and what is the intent behind what I'm doing? My
Yeah.
intent from what I'm doing, particularly with the YouTube stuff, was like I wanted people to feel something positive when they left, and that they actually got something beneficial from it, and
Mm-hmm.
that it was not just I'm not taking from them, and I'm not just posting just so I look good
Yeah.
and positioning. I'm giving
Mm-hmm.
to the recipient. Very similarly with this, my goal is to give to the client in the chair right where you're sitting, but also to the listener, that what they can leave here and be like, oh, I never thought about that business
Yeah.
tactic. Oh, and they're receiving something.
The value from the conversation.
Exactly, and that's so
Yeah.
very similar to what you're saying. You wanted to be useful rather
Mm-hmm.
than just be a waste.
Yeah. So I had actually been off of social media for 3 years before I started my business. And here I was, I was really enjoying it. I was really enjoying the detox. And like I said, at that point, I'd been off of social media. And for me, I have no quarrel with social media. I feel
Mhm.
like it can be useful. Technology is fine.
Yes.
Technology is great. And I just felt for me, it just had become very noisy.
Mm.
And I read more. I did listen to podcasts, like I said, but when I started the business, it became necessary
Hmm.
to get back on social media. And I think for a long time, I hadn't looked at it as a business. And one of the things that my business coach constantly reminds me, it's like, you own a business, it's not a hobby,
Mm,
because,
yeah.
and as a creative, and I wouldn't even consider myself the traditional artist, but what I do is creative, and it comes from a place of inspiration. But I think as a creative, you can lean so much in to your craft and what you do. The business side just becomes kind of like a chore. Like it becomes
Yeah.
this thing that is not enjoyable but necessary.
Hmm.
So to touch on what you said about reconciling is what I'm doing. That is exactly why my gifts are intentional and they need to be useful.
So who is the typical or ideal client for you?
So the ideal client is someone who wants to give a thoughtful gift, and really doesn't have the time. Doesn't have the time to even think. Not everyone even has ideas on what they want to give. So I'll tell you an interesting story. Someone reached out to me for a gift for a semi-famous internet personality, and I was fortunate that they are on the internet, so I was able to scour their social media. This gift, every gift is important, but this was someone that my client wanted to thank for referrals, and we know how important referrals are to a business. So she, it was really important. I was touched and honored that she even thought of me and trusted me with this gift. And I watched, thankfully, he didn't have that many YouTube
Yeah.
videos, but I watched a lot of his YouTube content and his social media page, really just to find the most obscure thing that I felt meant something to him. So I found out he liked cereal, and I'm not gonna put Kellogg's in my gift basket. So I found this really high quality chocolate company that does that had a cereal bowl flavor chocolate. He likes camping and cross country. He likes hiking and all that, like the outdoors. Likes writing. Harley is like their storytelling is something that he's fascinated by. He talks about it all the
Mm,
time. So like all the gifts that and there's a quote that is not original to him, but meant something to him, and it says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So I had that engraved on a
wow.
compass for
Wow.
him. So I mean, my client was elated, and so was he loved it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it really goes it goes deep for me.
Yeah.
There's a French anthropologist, sociologist called Marcel Mauss, and he actually talks about the reciprocal nature of like giving and receiving being two sides of the same coin. And really it's this idea. I mean, you don't want to give a gift with the idea that the recipient has to give something
Mm,
back, but on a level, it does create this reciprocity. You feel obligated to,
yeah.
and it just forms a bond.
Yeah.
So it really does. When you think about corporate gifting, you take a transactional relationship and you put a human spin on it. So my note cards are handwritten. I have wax seal, like it just feels special. It feels, it's unexpected, especially when you are in a corporate setting, to receive a gift that, feels so elevated, but also like a little homemade.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
So I know again you didn't want me to show the gift that
yeah,
you brought a gift here, but I have to talk about it because
yeah.
it was incredible.
Thank you.
And so did you do research on me beforehand or
Well, I've watched a few of your
because I
interviews,
looked at
so.
some did you look at my Instagram or anything or I'm curious.
No, I actually didn't do any more
Oh,
research,
okay,
just
because I don't
other
know
than
how
the
did you know about all the farming stuff and the little farms? Did I mention that in interviews and stuff
you
or?
you have, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, this is
Yeah.
right up my alley. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is incredible. I'm like, I can't
Hmm.
wait to send it to my wife. Be like, look at this gift.
Aw,
So I
that
think
warms
that
my heart.
I want to say, I think that the intentionality and the research that you do into each of your gifts, like it really felt um, curated to me.
Yeah.
Just I haven't even gone through it totally
Mm-hmm.
yet, but just seeing from what I saw from the outside, I'm like, wow, this is really for me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about them, like this is even down to the organic olive oil. The fact that you knew that I cared about that, and
Yeah.
is pretty. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'm curious now. Now that we know who your client is, what is your process after you find, so somebody hires you and says, hey, I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to make a curated gift for somebody. What is your process after you get hired?
So after I get hired, so I have an order form that has questions that are tailored to like just the really specific information that I need that really it's just one page. I don't want it to be time consuming and annoying to my clients to just have to fill out, but really, who it's going to, occasion, and anything that you want to tell me about your recipient. So if like I want to know things like they don't drink
Mm,
or yeah. So food and alcohol is tricky when gifting. And I tell a lot of my corporate clients because clients who are sending over 50 gifts, let's say, you don't know if some of those recipients are sober, or a lot of people are healthy these days and some people are gluten free. I don't find those to be very intentional gifts. If I
mm,
send you a gift and you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
drink, it's probably a little offensive. And then
Mm,
what are you going to do with it? Like
hmm.
it meant nothing to you. So
Well,
I
for the record, if anybody is watching, I do drink. So if you want to send, no, I'm just kidding.
So do I. Yeah, I can't wait to crack open your
Oh, the
wine.
wine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So,
Actually, just a caveat onto that. So you will get large bulk orders like that, like a company will say, "Hey, I want 50."
mhm,
That's really interesting.
yeah.
That's cool.
So the first year I started in June, and in December, uh, a Guyanese company and based in Guyana, ordered their 55 Christmas presents.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was really flattering because I had just started and I really enjoyed it, and then just having to figure out the logistics of shipping to Guyana and all of that was I was just like
Thrown into
immersed
the
in
fire.
exactly. So yeah, I get bulk orders, but most of my orders are one-off custom gifts, and I enjoy every aspect. So there's three ways to work with my company. There's the custom orders. I have the website for ready to ship gifts, and I also have a year of gifting subscription. So at the beginning of the year, well, the year that you start, you would sign up. We plan all your important occasions,
Wow.
dates, so you never have to think about that. So
That's
you
wild.
don't want to forget, like
The anniversary, the birthday. Wow, that is
exactly.
so wild.
Right, yeah. So I plan that.
I'm curious about that part of your business. How does that do well, or is that like still rising as part of a pillar? Like
Yeah, it definitely is still rising, but it is a client favorite. Like people love it.
that's
Um,
wild.
it,
What a great area to serve.
yeah.
That's
So thank
such an
you.
interesting idea. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and what a lot of businesses like about that is they get to see their spend for the year at the beginning. So there are no surprises. Like you don't have to add up how much you spend on gifting at the end of the year. You get to see like everything is completely transparent. Every from shipping to the cost of the gift,
Wow.
no surprises.
Speaking of the how does the cost structure work? Is it dependent on the product? Is it depend? Do you like say what's your budget? How does that work?
So I started off asking people what their budget, and what I found, a lot of people don't know
Yeah,
what it's supposed to
that's what I was
cost.
kind of curious.
They,
Yeah,
yeah,
agreed.
and for me, I wanted to be mindful. Like I didn't want to assume someone wanted to spend $200 in a gift when they really want. So I would ask what their budget was. But because of the quality of the products that I put in the gift, I found that I really was barely breaking even because I wanted the
Mm,
gifts to feel special and I wanted to cater to everyone and everyone's
yeah.
budget.
Not only do you
So,
have to factor in how much everything costs and shipping, you have to factor in a profit margin there.
mhm.
Very interesting. Yeah, okay, sorry, but that's yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So that's a pain point for me.
Yeah.
That's something that's also I don't know how you feel about coaching, but I my business coach really has been a lifeline for me because it's that mentorship. I feel like strategy, you can Google that,
Mm,
you can read a book and, you can figure all that stuff out. But what I like about coaching is it kind of trains you to be the person to implement those strategies.
mm,
So it's the long term gain as opposed to like this is here's what you should do now.
mm.
This is a strategy. So that is something, and I'm fortunate that I do have an amazing coach who kind of keeps me in line when it comes to the profit margins. So I get excited about my clients, I get excited about the gift, and she's always, okay, how is that profit margin looking? Because I really do tend to get carried away
Sure.
with just creating the gifts.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really would like I try to let my clients know. So I don't do the traditional cellophane gift baskets. I mean, those had a time. My gifts are more, they fit the modern times. And because I have that interest in minimalism and I was leaning into that at one point, my gifts actually are more on the minimalist side. So, if you see three, four items in a gift, they each mean something. So I feel like my goal is when you unwrap a gift, I want it to feel like an experience.
Mm.
I want, like just obviously you see it first before anything else, and it's pretty. And I always have a candle or I have orange slices, like the dehydrated citrus. That looks pretty, but that also is, and I don't think I've ever told anyone this, that is also a nod to my Caribbean upbringing. Just the little piece of dehydrated orange, it's vibrant, it's citrus, it's just a part of my culture.
It also
And
creates another sense of the scent.
exactly. So, and psychologists actually call that a sensory anchor. When you have something that stimulates one or all of your senses, it creates a memory.
Mm.
So, someone gives you a gift, you unwrap it, it warms your heart, it looks good, it smells good. You actually will remember, that person will actually stay top of mind. And going back to why the gifts are intentional, I told you about the client, the recipient that I had the compass engraved. That's personal to him. Every time he looks at it, he'll remember the person who gave it to him. So it's just beyond creating gifts for an occasion. It really is about the bond for me
Yeah.
and the relationship that it nurtures.
It's incredible, and it's you can see the heart and the passion behind what you do tremendously.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where you continue to go with this.
Thank you so
What
much.
what is the next goal? What do you see this going next?
Where do I see it going next? As I said, this is the foundation. I'm building on something. I would like to, the goal will forever be the relationships that I build, the relationships that I foster between the giver and the recipient. And I would like to scale the business to the point that um, people come to Panier Cadeau for those personal gifts, so it's not just transactional, it's something meaningful. And I guess that's how I'd like to be seen. That's what I'd like to be known for.
Well,
Just
I think you're doing a great job at it
thank you
already, so I'm excited to
so
see where this
much.
goes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So again, I want to reiterate how incredible. I mean, first of all, the work that I've seen on your social media, but now I have the personal experience
Thank you.
of receiving one of your gifts is as you use the word elated, I'm elated to continue to actually look through that. So, where can people find you? Where can people, if they want to do something similar?
Okay.
For the record, am obsessed with that new idea of the signing up for the yearly
The
thing.
year of
I think
gifting?
that that
Yeah.
is such a wild idea, just
Mm-hmm.
because it becomes so overwhelming. Like, I love my parents, I love my wife, and I love all the people that I give gifts to. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes nice, fresh to have nice to have
Yeah.
a fresh mind on that, but also
Yeah.
not even in the aspect of forgetting, just in the aspect of like, I'm out of ideas. So having somebody else that could do that is
Yeah.
what a
Yeah.
cool concept.
Even the idea of I did a real estate gift recently, and I was just thinking that I work so closely, like I've met so many people, so many business owners, female business owners through Babes in Business, like I said, a lot of photographers. And I thought it would be nice to include a photo session in one of the
Well,
closing gifts, like new home. So I do, there is a place for experiences as
yeah.
well within the
That's so
gifts.
cool.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, it has been a pleasure. So, where can people find you, though?
I am on Instagram at panier.cadeau, and my website is www.paniercadeau, and email me orders at paniercadeau.com.
It was a pleasure. Incredible, incredible hearing your story.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
so much.
It
This
was a
was really
pleasure.
fun. Thank
I'm
you.
happy to hear that.